Welcome everybody to this week's episode of Gadget Inspectors. Well, it's my great pleasure to welcome to the show this week. His name is Roger That. The reason that we have Roger That with us in the studio is that he's come up with a rather fiendishly clever personal communications device. Is that correct? Roger, why don't you tell us about it?
Spot on, Mr. What? Sorry, your name was?
Figmore, George Figmore.
Well, George, the world is spinning. Communications are speeding up ever faster. You wake up one day, there's an MP3. You wake up the next day, there's an MP4. I've seen where all that is going.
Where?
Individualized mini chips inserted behind the ear of closed bands of people with whom you wish to communicate and who may find themselves in physical circularity.
What's the range of these things?
Where am I? Am I in central London? Am I near my clubs? Or am I in the Atacama Desert? The Atacama Desert is 1,600 kilometers, you know, all along the Pacific coast, very high. I believe it's the highest desert in the world.
Well, it may well be. How is that germane to the range of the chip?
Well, if I'm in the Atacama Desert, I can wander freely. No buildings.
So the range is bigger depending on the nature of the terrain?
Of course.
Okay, so if you are in the middle of the city,
yes,
let's say London,
yes,
what might the range be?
I'm trying to think what is the longest street in London. I believe it's Oxford Street, probably Tottenham Court Road, one of those. The length of that, all along from the beginning to the end, if there's not many people.
But there generally is quite a few people in central London.
There's always the possibility of popping into a traffic island, get a nice clear line.
So
the bobbies are generally very helpful.
What, escorting you across the road?
They let me stay there, that's the point. I want to be in the traffic island to communicate.
So if I can
as soon as I explain it to the constable, he's very happy to let me stay there.
Tell me if I'm getting this wrong, but I think that the implication of what you're telling me is that this doesn't really work very well in built-up areas. Is that right?
Anything that gets in the way of the waves. That's just common science.
But that's not common science, is it? Because mobile phones work perfectly well.
Yes, but they cheat.
They cheat?
Yes, they cheat. They go up into the stratosphere. They bounce down off a geodesic something or other, triangulate, that's what they do. And then from that information, they can localize where you are. But now you see, what information are you channeling up to them via their CIA-inspired satellite beams? What I'm saying is it's secure.
Yours is?
Just need a straight line between you and the communique.
So really, it's a bit like talking into a tin can connected with a piece of string to another tin can.
I was led to believe this was a scientific show. I expected if you jeer, who knew Alexander Fleming when he put his finger in that muck, where that would lead.
Sorry, what muck did he?
The penicillin, man.
Oh, I see. I'm with you.
Wipes off the windowsill. Tries to tell you he put it in a petri dish. Didn't.
I fear that we're becoming a little sidetracked here. I want to know more about your device.
Yes.
Given the proliferation of communications technologies and the way that they have changed and become both affordable and convenient over the years, the mobile telephone being...
What happens if the government one day decides we're going to shut them all down? And I'm at the beginning of Oxford Street and you're right at the other end of Oxford Street. So, in the Atacama Desert, what happens then?
Well, first of all, I would say that in liberal free market societies, it's highly unlikely that any government is going to shut down a money spinning endeavor such as...
It won't be the government.
Who is going to shut down mobile telephone companies?
Well, principally people like Soros in the Open Society.
You have concrete evidence that George Soros or somebody like him closed down the world's communication networks. Is that correct?
Anyone connected with the old Royal Habsburgs. They're still here, you know. They didn't disappear.
So your device is preemptively.
It circumvents them.
So this is an insurance against
Yes.
any other billionaire philanthropist.
Gates, Deep
Network.
State, Chomsky. Circumvents the lot of them.
Chomsky?
Deep State Chomsky, I call him.
Do you?
Yes, I do.
What? I'm. This is completely off topic, but I'm fascinated as to why you might call him that.
What did you think a controlled government would do if it wanted to give the idea that each individual had freedom? They would plant a puppet in the society, freely writing as if he were free, criticizing the very government that allows him that supposed freedom in which to swim.
But why him and not one of the many other writers?
There are many.
Who fit that brief?
Name a writer.
Naomi Wolf.
Well, she's one.
Naomi Klein.
She's one.
I can't think of any other Naomis. Will that?
Well, all the 100% on the Naomis. They're both deep state. Yes. I'm surprised a man of your education is biased there.
What? I think Naomi Wolf died recently, didn't she?
Yes. Of what?
I don't know, but I'm afraid I'm struggling to buy your thesis that just because somebody is a published writer and is openly critical of government, that it is therefore axiomatic that they are in the employ of the government that they are critical of. That is pretty much what you're saying, isn't it?
Yeah, is alive and kicking.
Is she?
Yes, she is. I just looked it up. I knew that beforehand. Didn't look it up anywhere.
Well, of course, you wouldn't be able to, presumably, I mean, unless there's something about your communications device of which I am unaware. I mean, your mobile phone, you can go straight to, and you can get online, and you can get onto Google, and you can check something like, is Naomi Wolf alive, on your phone? Are you able to do this?
My vision is this. When it's all over, and only we are left to deal with it all, it will be of little consequence to us how old Naomi Wolf is. She may have perished. We may not. We care not. Do you have any idea of what a post-Holocaust world is going to look like?
No, I don't.
It's not a large leap of imagination to see Oxford Street
I'm
decimated.
asking myself, well, Oxford Street isn't that long. Why doesn't he just walk down? I mean, if the other person starts walking as well, you could actually have a bit of a chat inside about 5 minutes, couldn't you?
I don't think I have a notion of what confronts us in the near future, Mr. I forgot what it was. Mr. George.
George Figmore.
Figmore.
Gadget inspectors.
Sorry, yes, Mr. Figmore. Do you think I've got time, if I see a cyborg behaving suspiciously, approaching, perhaps at speed, to just totter off down maybe 200, 300 yards and tap my friend on the shoulder? No, that's where my invention comes in.
So this is designed specifically for a post-apocalyptic
I think you're trying to sell it short now. I could take you to the street, I could show you, I could say, stand over there. Not so far, a little bit nearer. And you would see how perfectly it would work if nobody goes in the way. What I'm saying is what happens when all the other stuff fails and when we are under attack. Nokia won't save you.
Is it correct to say that within radius, actually everybody who's got a chip is audible to you?
That's right.
So you can hear everybody.
You see, the penny's finally dropping, yes.
Why would anybody want that?
Riff-raff have these things. These will only be people of quality. And I think it would be a great advantage if we can all unite in congenial discourse.
How did you come up with this?
Well, I was shouting down Oxford Street one day. She said, "Meet me at the end of Oxford Street." I said, "Very good." And then when I got there, I thought, "Oh, good heavens," she didn't say which end of Oxford Street it wasn't. And I hollered and hollered.
So you didn't have a telephone?
I didn't have any way of getting in touch with her should the arrangement have broken down. No.
Most people's response to this situation might be, maybe I need to get a mobile phone, not maybe I need to invent a whole new system of communication. Others presumably also have had this implanted.
Well, they've not had it implanted. They've signed up. A lot of people have signed up.
How many?
George is also called George, you see, namesake of yours. He's signed up.
Yeah.
Ralph said he was going to and probably will. We're still in the initial phases.
So that's three of you, of whom only one, to my understanding, that's you, has actually had this inserted. Because I'm guessing that you'll have had nobody to talk to.
So now, no. But I'm very confident that once everything is in place, Georgie and Ralph and I can have a decent conversation without anybody butting in. You're thinking along the lines of I'm here to sell lots and lots and lots of chips. No, I'm not. I'm here to talk about the technology. I'm here to tell you we'll be pioneering a technology which may be of benefit to humanity.
So I'm curious about George. He's a friend of yours?
Oh yes.
And is he local to you?
Can I ask where you're speaking from?
Neaston.
Oh dear. If you were near the city, you might see George. He's always wears a blue bobble hat.
I mean, is George somebody that you spend a lot of time with?
We were old school pals. We met again. I'm still in Dagenham where I was born.
So you're in Dagenham and he's in the city.
No, he travels into the city.
From where?
He won't tell me.
He won't tell you?
Very wise of him, I think, to keep his address secret. What do they call it? It's gone off grid, you see. Off grid. Can you see how it fits together now?
No, to be perfectly honest, I
Think
can't.
about this from George's point of view, you see. George is a little bit, he's a suspicious kind of fellow. He doesn't trust many people. And he only comes out at certain times of day. So if you're like George, and you don't trust the telephones, and you don't trust the mainstream media or any of that malarkey, what better than to know that a quick tube ride away down maybe, what is it, not many stops, he could pause there, and if I were at the other end, which I would try to be some days, and just walk around, and if I pick up a signal from him, then we could have a jolly decent conversation without Bill Gates or Snoopy Slozenberg, the Facebook fellow, or
Snoopy
what's his
Slotzenberg?
name?
Mark,
Zuckerberg, yes, him. Without them listening in.
can I just ask? I mean, it sounds to me as if probably you and George need to arrange to be reasonably proximate for your technology to work. Do you phone him up and say,
No, you see, you're trying
in
to,
Oxford Street?
No, you're trying to undermine me now, you see. I do know that he does like to sit on a pavement at one end of Oxford Street at certain hours of the day. And at a certain other hour of the day, he will collect his earnings and return home. Now, in that time, I know that I could quite often be at the other end of the street. Nobody would know who I would look like a deranged idiot talking to myself. But I would be talking to George, you see.
Well, why don't you just go to the end of Oxford Street where you know George to be?
And then be seen together.
Well, the consequences of that would be what exactly?
In any future underground movement, there can be seen to be no contact between cells. Once you get one cell busted, they're all busted. I'd have thought you'd have known that.
So you and George are a cell?
Well, George would control his cell, and I would control my cell. We were at point of contact.
Okay, so you're a cell.
Well, at the moment I am. I'm trying to get Ralph interested.
Sorry, a cell on whose behalf?
Well, fighting the Rothschilds and the royal family and those people. Not now, when it all kicks off. because they will drop their disguise like a hot potato, my friend.
You have money and resource behind you?
I have a powerful backer, yes.
Okay. I have one last question for you. I'm intrigued by your accent.
From Nigeria.
You're from Nigeria?
Oh, the backer. I was sent to elocution lessons. My mother said, if you could speak a bit more posh, maybe we could do something with you. And she did.
Well, it's been a delight to
if anybody does
share
want
your
to get
thought.
in touch and be part of the Brotherhood, you could put an email, maybe.
I'm very happy to do that. If anybody's keen to get in touch with Roger that, email me on the show, Gadget Inspectors, and I will happily pass that on. Okay, well, that's it for another week. Thank you for tuning in. and